when it comes to companies like GE hiring here in the U.S., you said, look, there's no excuse for a lack of leadership. What does GE plan to do in terms of hiring in the United States? You've done a lot in, say, Louisville, Kentucky, for example, New York. But if you look at the last decade, GE has shed about 35,000 jobs in the U.S., and you've got, as you said, about 60% of your workforce outside the U.S. Look, you got to go where the demand is. You wouldn't be responsible to your shareholders if you didn't do that. But you also said there's sort of this, you as an American have this feeling that we need to do something about jobs in this country.
Well, first thing I would say, Poppy, since I've been CEO 10 years, I've sold about half the company. So in some ways, the statistic would be like everybody that works for NBC would show up as leaving GE, like we fired the people, but they all still have jobs. They're just working for Comcast. So
but
the numbers are a little bit.
Were before that.
No, I mean, look, but our overall employment, our infrastructure employment is up about 30% in the last decade. But look, in 2000, 30% of our revenue was outside the United States. Now it's 65%.
Wow.
So we have had to globalize, and we will continue to globalize. At the same time, we invest in the U.S. We do more R&D here. We're the biggest exporter in the country. And I think those are the things we can do and invest in the supply chain. And look, in the cycle we're in right now, we're creating jobs.
You know, it's interesting when you look at the weak dollar position, and then you look at, I think in China we've seen wages rise about 20% in the past few years. So you see rising wages abroad, India and China, and you see a dollar weakness here. Is this the tipping point when it makes more sense to manufacture more here in the U.S.?
If you look at what we're showing you today, gas turbines, if you look at what we're making in aviation, aircraft engines, we can make those as competitively or more competitively here than any place in the world.
Is that recent
our
that
teams,
you can do
our
it more
technology.
competitively?
I just think we've got great products, but we also have, yesterday we showed people 30%, 50% reduction in cycle time, good material productivity, so we can compete. Now at the same time, look, we're bringing refrigerator production back from Mexico to Louisville, Kentucky. We're bringing products back from China to the U.S. that are sold in the U.S. And we're doing it because they can be cost competitive in those in that town versus other places. So I believe that the U.S. can compete right now, and I do think between currency, but more importantly, manufacturing processes, the country's got more competitive. So
I'm interested from you from a personal, professional perspective, right? Your first job is chairman and CEO of General Electric. And then you're the head of the President's Job Council. We have seen somewhat of a dwindling of demand in some parts of the United States. If your top lieutenants come to you, the board, and says, look, Jeff, we have to pull back in certain states. We've got to lay off. It's not paying off in terms of a demand perspective here. What do you do?
Look, I'm going to run GE first and foremost. Again, I'm not. I don't work for myself. I work for investors, and I'm a GE guy, and I'm going to execute GE strategies. But at the same time, I think if ever there was a point in my career, I'm 29 years with GE. If ever there was a point in my career where people like me should be trying to do what we can to be helpful in a broad way with the United States, with legislators and with people, it's today. If ever there was a time. So look, is it perfect having the CEO of GE also do something else? No. And look, I've been criticized by the right and the left.
You can't win.
You can't win. But it doesn't faze me because I believe in my company, but I also believe in the country. And in many ways, guys like me or Paul Otellini or John Chambers, we are the products of this system. We went to public high schools. We went to college. We started at our companies with no money, $50,000 in student loans. We are outputs of this system. And we're very happy to give something back regardless of the criticism. I really don't care about it.
Was it a challenge for you to decide to take this job? And when the president calls, it's hard to say no, but was it a hard decision?
Really, I discuss it with the board. In the end, they have to be comfortable with it. That's good governance of the company, and so I wanted to make sure they were comfortable with it. But really, I want to help. I want to help now, and I really want to help President Obama in a constructive way to make, if I can, to make the economy better, even if I don't agree with him on everything he does. And I'm sure he doesn't agree with everything GE does. That's the way life is.
It's the beauty of America, right?
It is.